Take me back to all the days, 'cause I'm afraid I'll never be the same. Things resolve in their song All the Days. This line perfectly captures the bittersweet feeling of nostalgia, the longing for a time when life felt simpler, happier, or more fulfilling. We've all been there, right? Sitting around, reminiscing about the past, whether it's childhood innocence, the wild energy of our teenage years, or even just a recent phase in life that felt better than now. Nostalgia has a way of creeping in, shaping our emotions and perspectives. But is nostalgia always a good thing? Or can it hold us back from appreciating the here and now? Let's dive into it. Think about it. When you reminisce the past, what exactly do you miss? Is it the people, the places, or just the way things felt back then? Maybe it's your childhood, when everything was simple, full of playdates, school crushes, and zero responsibilities. Or those teenage years, maybe with the same people you went to playdate with, growing up together, when every little thing felt like an adventure, discovering new music, making questionable fashion choices. And it was also the time when you really shaped your personality and figured out life with your friends that maybe are still in your life now. Even adulthood has its moments that we long for. Times when things felt more exciting or maybe just easier. And really, nostalgia isn't a bad thing. If you miss a time in your life, it means it brought you joy, and that is something worth cherishing. Nostalgia helps us reconnect with the part of ourselves that we might have forgotten, and it can be a source of comfort. It's that warm feeling you get when you stumble upon an old song or when a scent takes you straight back to a specific moment. Sometimes it even helps us make peace with our past, realizing that tough times weren't always as bad as they seemed back then. You know those moments that felt like the worst back in the day, but now you look back and laugh? Yeah, those. And actually, this feeling gives me another way to how I perceive tough moments in the present. Well, I mean for the ones you will laugh at in the future. For example, I don't know, going on a hike. I had a lot of those since I moved to Germany, and when I go on a hike, I expect to spend a nice day walking in nature with the sun. But sometimes, well, the weather is unpredictable. The amount of time it rained, or there was even snow, it was hard, it was cold. I probably tripped and fell a few times. But living those moments now, I know that in the future I will laugh about it. So I might as well laugh about it now because complaining won't even bring the sun, even if complaining feels good sometimes. After all, I am French. This is our national sport. Do you remember the band Your Demise? Unfortunately, they split it, but back in high school, so maybe in like 2010, they released a song called The Kids We Used to Be with lyrics like, "Let's bring back the best years." I was 16, maybe 17, and I remember thinking, yeah, I get this. I felt it to my core. Even back then, I was already feeling nostalgic for times that were not even that far gone. Looking back now, I realized those weren't the best years, not even close. But I do believe in the butterfly effect. Every moment, every decision leads us to where we are now, and I am grateful for that. But here's the thing. Nostalgia can also be tricky. When we think back, we tend to filter out the bad and only focus on the good. Our minds are like highlight reels, skipping over the tough times and focusing on the laughter and happiness. Meanwhile, when we're in the present, we often fixate on the struggles and challenges. Have you ever caught yourself missing a time in your life only to realize you were nostalgic even back then for an earlier time? It's like we're always chasing the past, thinking it was better when in reality it was just different. And let's be real, sometimes it takes a friend to snap us out of it. You start talking about the good old days, and they're like, remember how that part was actually a mess? And you're like, oh, right. But somehow in our minds, even the chaos becomes funny in hindsight. I guess it's also because you felt a lot of emotion at that time, and so your brain doesn't make a difference between the good and the bad, and maybe in the present you're feeling less emotions, and so your brain just wants to feed out of those. I don't know, this is just a theory, but I think it might be it. It's hard not to compare ourselves to who we used to be or even to others. But let me tell you something. Someone out there is probably looking at your life right now and thinking, wow, they have it all together. Funny, isn't it? Or at least they wish for some parts of it that they don't have. Maybe it's time we start recognizing the good things we have right now. Maybe we need to list out the things we're grateful for instead of dwelling on what's gone. And let's not forget, change is inevitable. Over time, we all evolve, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we miss the person we used to be, the carefree version of ourselves, the one who took risks and loved without a second thought. But life has a way of shaping us through experiences, relationships, and challenges. Maybe past experiences made you more cautious, more guarded, so you let less people in, and you might feel more lonely. Or maybe you're frustrated because certain things about yourself haven't changed, even though you wish they would. In the same song, Resolve's lyrics, "It's bittersweet how I can seem to change," really hit home. It's that tug of war between growth and nostalgia, wanting to move forward, but also holding on to parts of the past that felt safe. And hey, that's okay. Also, quick reminder, I am not sure that this is exactly what they meant when writing the song, but this is all about how I resonate with those lyrics, and I am pretty sure I am not the only one. Back to our nostalgia. The key is balance, honoring the past without letting it overshadow the present. Learning to appreciate where you're right now. Because guess what? The moments you're living in today might be the ones you'll feel nostalgic about in the future. That's pretty wild, right? So why not enjoy them fully while they are happening? At the end of the day, nostalgia is a beautiful thing. It reminds us of joy, growth, and connection. But the present deserves our attention too. It's important to remember that it's all about perspective. Nostalgia has this way of making it perceive as really the best time, when the present can be just as good. So take a moment today to look around, take it all in, and remind yourself that these days are worth living. So what about you? What are some of your favorite nostalgic memories? When you think back to those moments that make you smile, what is it that truly stands out? Is it the people you were with, the places you went, or simply the way you felt at that time? Maybe it's that specific song that instantly takes you back to a summer that felt endless, or a scent that reminds you of home. Have you ever caught yourself reminiscing about a certain period in your life and wondered, was it really as perfect as I remember it? Or is it just the way my mind chooses to see it now? But maybe it can also be a good time to reflect and to think that maybe it's your brain telling you that something is missing in your life. If it's a person, then maybe you can text them. If it's a place, what about this place exactly? Maybe you can find it also where you are now. And what about today? Are there moments happening right now that you might one day look back on with that same kind of longing? It's interesting, right? How time passes and suddenly the things we took for granted become the things we wish we could relive. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, your stories, your reflections, and what nostalgia means to you. After all, we all have our own older days that shaped who we are now. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this conversation helped you realize that while the past has some amazing moments, the present is just as important. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review or comment, it really helps. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at IntoTheCavePod. I will see you again next week with another deep dive into some lyrics that hit hard. And until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye!